I'm in my 60s now, and for nearly a decade, I've been married to Eleanor. I have a daughter, Sophia, from my first marriage, and Eleanor has a daughter, Abigail, from a previous relationship. From the beginning, I tried my best to treat Abigail like my own child, but our relationship has been, to put it mildly, difficult. It's a painful story to revisit, yet I need to share it. Not just to process my own feelings, but perhaps to find some clarity from those who might understand. Eleanor and I met when Sophia was around 9 and Abigail was 7. I was cautious about entering a relationship with someone who already had a child, uncertain how the family dynamics would unfold. But Eleanor was wonderful, warm, and kind-hearted, and the girls seemed to get along well enough. Yet, as the years passed and the girls grew into their teenage years, the differences between them became impossible to ignore. Sophia was everything I hoped for, a responsible, kind-hearted young woman, always diligent with her studies, eager to help around the house, and respectful to everyone. Abigail, on the other hand, was a storm of rebellion and resistance. I understood that children could have their challenges, but Abigail's behavior was consistently difficult. Skipping classes, lying about her whereabouts, and showing little regard for any rules. What made it even harder was knowing that Eleanor would always step in to defend her, shielding Abigail from consequences and undermining my attempts to set boundaries. I tried to be a father figure to Abigail, to guide her as I did with Sophia. But every effort was met with resistance, not just from Abigail, but from Eleanor herself. She accused me of being too strict, insisted Abigail was just going through a phase, and dismissed my concerns as unreasonable. It was exhausting and frustrating to feel powerless in my own home. I longed to connect with Abigail, to build a bond, but Eleanor's protectiveness created a barrier I couldn't break through. Over time, the constant undermining wore me down. I stopped trying to enforce rules for Abigail, feeling defeated and sidelined. That sense of failure cut deeply. I wasn't perfect, but I genuinely wanted to be a positive presence in her life, and it hurt that I was denied that role. When I turned 60, thoughts about legacy crept into my mind. My modest savings, the home I worked hard for, a life insurance policy. All these were meant to support the people I cared for most. Sophia, my biological daughter, would naturally be the primary beneficiary. But when it came to Abigail, I hesitated. Despite my care for her, years of being pushed aside and shut out as a parental figure left me conflicted. I couldn't bring myself to leave part of my estate to someone whose behavior had gone unchecked, who had been enabled by her mother's defenses, and who had never truly respected me as a parent. To me, it wasn't cruelty, it was fairness. So I decided to leave everything to Sophia. When Eleanor discovered my decision, her reaction was explosive. One evening, she stormed into the living room, her face flushed with fury. "How could you exclude Abigail from your will?" she demanded, her voice shaking with emotion. "You've been in her life all these years, and now you're turning your back on her." I was stunned by the intensity of her anger. I tried to explain how I had spent years trying to be a father to Abigail, only to be constantly undermined. I wanted acknowledgement, respect for my role, but Eleanor wasn't listening. She called me selfish, accused me of betraying Abigail, and claimed I was throwing away everything we'd built together. The argument escalated until Eleanor dropped a bombshell. I want a divorce. Her voice trembled as she said it. "You've chosen Sophia over Abigail. I can't stay in a marriage where you reject my daughter." I was floored. I had never imagined that my decision, born from years of hurt and frustration, would unravel the marriage I'd tried to protect. I'd always felt like an outsider in my own family, and now it seemed Eleanor couldn't see the pain I'd endured. The divorce was bitter and drawn out. Eleanor fought me on every front. The house, the will, everything. She demanded I revise my will to include Abigail, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. To me, it wasn't about money. It was about principle. How could I reward someone who never showed me respect, whose behavior had been enabled for years? Eleanor and Abigail hired a lawyer to contest the will. Abigail, now an adult, argued she deserved a share of my estate. But for me, it was never about the money. It was about fairness and recognition. The court ultimately upheld my will, but the victory felt hollow. Eleanor and Abigail cut me off completely. Sophia remained by my side, a blessing amid the chaos, but the loss of my marriage and my relationship with Abigail left me reeling. I questioned my decision again and again. Could I have done more for Abigail? Should I have pushed harder to break through the barriers? But after years of rejection, I didn't know what else to do. The months after the divorce were lonely. Eleanor and Abigail moved on, and their silence was deafening. I focused on rebuilding my life, with Sophia's unwavering support. But the sting of betrayal lingered like a shadow I couldn't shake. Then, unexpectedly, Abigail called one afternoon. "Dad, I'm sorry," she said, her voice trembling with vulnerability. "I didn't realize how much you tried, how much you cared. I took you for granted." Her words struck me deeply, stirring a complex mix of anger, hurt, and relief. "I know it's late," she continued, "but I want you to know I regret how I treated you. For the first time, I feel like I understand. I want to try to make things right." Her apology didn't erase the years of pain, but offered a fragile glimmer of hope. "I appreciate that, Abigail," I replied, my voice heavy with emotion. "But things can't just go back to how they were." She sighed, a sound of quiet understanding through the phone. "I know. I just hope we can move forward, even if it's slow." I wasn't ready to forgive fully, not yet, but that conversation gave me a sense of closure I hadn't had before. Maybe, just maybe, healing was possible. As for Eleanor, I haven't heard from her since. The silence feels permanent. I still wrestle with her actions, with the finality of what was lost. I may never fully understand her perspective, but I'm learning to accept it, to stop trying to fix what's beyond my control. Sophia remains my anchor through it all, and with her support, I'm focused on moving forward, hopeful that better days lie ahead.